I'm laughing because Arrow's ready to talk into the microphone. Welcome to
Coco Caliente, a mother and daughter production.
where we talk about nothing and everything, both at the same time.
Oh, yeah, that's good, Mom. Mom just came up with that.
Well, and actually somebody inboxed me and told me that they liked that about our podcast. And that
Arrow's grabbing the microphone. He is on our lap. It is Monday morning. We're late to podcast. He was just sleeping on me. Now he's smiling. And now he woke up right when we were about to start. So this is going to be very interesting.
So, yeah, we have a special guest, little baby Arrow, today. And he's giving me lots of smiles right now. We had a super, super busy weekend again. Fun one.
It was so fun. It was the funnest trip to Frankenmuth, and I've been like 100 times, I swear, and it was the funnest. I think it was also it was really cool to experience with Arrow. Don't you think?
Yeah, and we left Friday afternoon when Dave got out of work. Me and Dave took off, but by the time we were like, okay, everybody drives separate so that we can, if we want to eat at different places, do different things, if we have more than one vehicle, instead of everybody having to do the same thing. But we ended up always doing the same thing anyways. But so me and Dave thought we'd get away from there, and it's almost like you have to leave town to take a nap because there's so much stuff. Is anybody else like that? Like at home, you just can't, your mind doesn't shut off. So we're like, let's get there a few hours before Nicole and Victor get there with Arrow, and we'll take a nap. Well, we only ended up being there 30 minutes.
Yeah, but you left like 4 hours before us, so that's your own doing.
We left like 2 hours before, no, 2.5.
No, and then, we left at 4 and you guys left at noon.
No, we didn't end up leaving town until like 1:30.
Oh, you told me noon.
And then we went over to Jesse's, and Dave did a little bit of shoveling. That took about a half an hour. Then we decided to go to the Mennonite store to buy a bunch of snacks for the room. We did that, and then we stopped one more place. Where did we stop?
Did you get ice cream?
No, I went and got Dad's Subway on the way because he told me he did not eat yet. And I was like, we're not going to eat until everybody gets there. So we stopped at a Subway, and I grabbed him Subway. So we only ended up there like a half an hour, and Dave's like, first thing, I'm going to take a nap. And so I knew I wasn't going to because half an hour is just not long enough. So
that makes sense, though, because if you're if you're home, you're going to want us to be like, oh, I could do the dishes, or Dad's like, oh, I could do the lawn or something with the yard or whatever. So that's actually a good idea. Dad doesn't rest much.
No, so I sent her a picture into the family group because we have a family text, and I said, have to leave home to take a nap, and Dave was actually sleeping, but I was just sitting next to him smiling, and Nicole says, what was your response?
We will find you. Be there soon. Yeah. We're like 30 minutes away.
It was.
And I knew Mom didn't tell me the room number. She just told me what entrance and what floor. So I was like, we couldn't even just like show up. I had to basically tell her we're there. I'm like, what's your room number? And then she knew we were there, and it was so quick. But it was fun, and Arrow had the best time ever.
He did. Jesse had to work Saturday, so he didn't get to come until Saturday after work. But so he stayed one night with us, it was just Ashley had studying, so it was just us. But we had just such a good time, and we did stuff, but we didn't like.
Well, we can want to talk about each day, kind of.
Yeah.
Friday night was super fun because it was just like it was nice it felt like vacation. Actually, we went to the arcade. The arcade got some really fun new games. I feel like they like upgraded their arcade. And so they were more fun adult games, I would say, right?
It is like literally the biggest. It is the nicest arcade I know of. I love the arcade there.
It's very clean too. It's very clean, and they got some. Anyways, they got some new adult arcade games. So we were playing those and being pretty competitive, and it was a lot of fun. We were all good at something different, which was cool. And then around 8 o'clock, we go to the what is it called?
Lorelei Lounge.
Yeah.
That's what I call Lorelei.
They have live music. So Mom wanted to wait till the live music around 8. So we went there, and we had a really, really good dinner. It was really, really good. And then we danced a little bit. Arrow had so much fun. And
yeah, Arrow, there's like a live musician, and you can put tips. Yeah. So I sent Arrow over with a tip, and he went and put his tip in, and then they asked his name, and then they sang a song just for Arrow.
They did Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, which is really, but on his like guitar, it was pretty cool. It was really cute. And then we did go to bed decently early that night, but we all kind of needed it. Maybe like 9:30, right?
It was pretty early.
And then the next day we had a very eventful day. So you can go ahead and take it away.
We got up and we went down for breakfast.
Yep.
We did breakfast first. And then afterwards, we knew we were going to go over to the River Island shops. Nicole was excited because they were having a sale. Anything you can fit in your bag, you get for certain stores
25%
25%
and there's
off.
only 2 days they do this a year, and we happened to be there one of the days, and I was so pumped. So we get there at 10 o'clock. The shops don't even open till 11, but a couple shops were open at 10. And I got some. He's fine, Mom. He's crawling. I'm watching him. I got some, like, what is it? Honey that's made from the bees that they hang out. I don't know. It was all very cool and natural. But I got some stuff from there, and then the shop started opening. We went to the crepes.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you. I didn't even have a funny story today, but now I actually do have a funny Dave story because this just relates into it. The day before he was telling me we were going, he said Anthony, one of the friends, his friends, he's the ugly cop, told him to go to this place for breakfast, and Dave kept talking about it. He must have been busy when he's talking to him, and he didn't. Anyways, he kept telling me. He said Anthony said we have to go to this place over the bridge for breakfast. They have the best. You can carry them in your hand. And he goes, they're eggs, you can get French toast. And he says, they're all in a thing. They're easy to carry. This is how he described it. And he said, they're like Crisco. And I was like, okay. And then he said it again. He's like, Anthony said we have to do this. This is before we even got there. And I said, Dave, I'm really not interested in having Crisco. I said, that's like a lot of grease. I said they probably are good. Because then I kept thinking like of an elephant ear or something. I'm like, why does he keep calling it Crisco? So then we ended up going out for breakfast, like I said, Saturday morning. Well, right when we crossed over there is a little bridge, and I seen a big store that said crepes. And I'm like, Dave, crepes. You wasn't Crisco, it's crepes. This is what he's talking about. Mm-hmm. So he's like, well, I don't know. I couldn't remember what he said. And I was like, well, you kept saying Crisco, and I was just, did not sound appetizing. But the line to go in that place was huge. And I would just watch through the window. So we ended up eating breakfast a second time, like 2 hours later, because me and Dave had to share one. And I got the French toast one stuffed with Bavarian like cream and strawberries, right?
Yeah.
An egg was in like the outside of it. And then what'd you get?
We got a savory one. It was like a Monte Cristo or whatever.
Was it Crisco?
It was good. It was really good. But then the funniest thing is the next day when the next morning, this is just adding on to that story, we were talking about where we're going to go for breakfast, and there's a place called Honeybees that I really like, but we ended up just going downstairs, but Dad goes, oh man, but we're not going to get those picos, are we? And I'm like, then I knew exactly what Dad was talking about. He's talking about the crepes again. And I'm just like,
we both knew. Me and
where
Nicole
does
both
he
knew.
come up with these names? I'm like, the only time he hears pico is pico de gallo. But I'm like, he's like, oh, we're not going to get those picos again though, right?
And the funniest thing is, like, yeah, whenever he says anything, me, Dave, and Nicole, and I'm sure Victor's starting to catch on, but we know he can say a word that is nothing to do with anything, but we figure out exactly what he's talking about. And we started laughing at him, and we're like, why'd you say that? He goes, well, because I know you guys are going to just...
I'm talking about.
Yeah. And
just pulls a word out of his butt, and he's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, but we all do know that's what... So then when I'm thinking about me and Mom doing the podcast, I'm like, oh, maybe sometimes we're confusing because we might say something wrong. Like Mom always says, what do you call the cheese board again?
Caricature instead of church.
Yeah, I don't even know the right thing, but she's like, "Are we gonna have a character? Are we gonna have a caricature board?" And I know it's couturery or something something like that, but I know what she means. And then when we were setting up for a shower, people were like, "Oh, my friend Nicole," she's like, "Oh, you're having someone draw pictures of you guys? Like you're having like a caricature artist?" And I was like, "No, she's talking about a cheese board." But we know what the heck we're talking about. So.
And sometimes instead of like straining my brain trying to get the word right, since I know what she knows, I'm going to know what.
Yeah,
I just like spit it out, and she's like, yeah, like I don't know. I'll just have initials sometimes for something, or I'll just say anything or something I seen on TV, and she literally knows what I'm talking about.
And Mariah always pointed out a lot in my best friend from college. She would point out a lot of things that I would say in college that aren't words. Oops, you okay, honey? He's okay. Oh, this is hard. And you're okay, sweetie. He just wants to play. Hey, look. Okay, sorry, guys. This is going to be interesting. You can't have him shake that, though. How about giving this headband? This is, like, nice and soft. And so Mariah, I was talking one time, and lots of times, and she'd always correct me. But the one that I picked up that I remembered the other day was, when you say, behaving is a word, right, Mom? Behave. But being have, like being have, I guess, isn't a word. And Mom always says, like, are you guys being have? And Mariah's like, that's not a thing. And I'm like, yes, it is. Like, behaving, are you being have? And so anyways, we Googled it and it's not a thing. But my mom always had said that, I hope you guys are being have.
Yeah, instead of saying being good, I'd always, are you being have? Are you over, when they're at somebody's house, are you being have? Yeah. But I didn't really realize that's not a thing. I would still say that.
But I think more people say that. So let us know if you've said that or have heard someone say it. But I totally thought that was a thing. Okay, we're off track. So then that day, we'll tell them what Mom, to help her. Mom's ankle and knee is really bugging her. You told the story about how you broke your foot on here before, way back when you were pregnant with me. And it was such a bad break that, since you were so pregnant, they literally put a cast from your hip to your foot. And now, like, the only way to fix it, they can't necessarily fix the mobility at all, but they can fix the pain, but they'd have to, like, go into surgery, re-break it, and kind of scrape out the arthritis and everything. So, basically, she is in a lot of pain all the time, but you don't really tell. She does walk.
And it's, like, kind of weird. Like, when I have my shoes on, and you can't see it, of course, but I crinkle my toes, like bend them to try to hold my shoe, to hold my foot in position. So I don't even walk with my foot straight. I actually have to take my toes and curl them to like get a grip. So that's why I like to be bare feet most of the time, because it's the easiest for me and I don't have to curl my toes. And then I walk on the side of my foot. So that's like I always have like calluses on the one side. So they seen when we were after breakfast, they seen the, what are they called? The Amigos.
Yeah.
And they're like, and usually, like, when we go to Frankenmuth, we'll drive uptown, but then walk the shops or whatever.
It was really busy that weekend, though, too. Like, there is no parking. Like, that wouldn't have been, they wouldn't have found, okay, hold on, we'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon's been something that Victor and I have been eating for a really long time. Basically, it's a healthy cereal, so it tastes like your childhood favorite cereals, but it doesn't have all the bad stuff in it. So, for example, it has 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving, and only 140 calories per serving. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb. You can build your own box, so there's available flavors from cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, cookies and cream, maple waffle, blueberry, cinnamon, plus the newly reformulated honey nut flavor is now added to the Magic Spoon's permanent collection. So you can go to magicspoon.com/cocoa to grab a custom bundle of cereal. Be sure to use our promo code COCO at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/cocoa and enter code COCO for $5 off. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this episode.
Okay, we're back. And Victor and Dave had, when we were there, they're like, they have those Amigos if you want to rent one to walk. And I'm like, no, I can walk. And then we walked back to the room, and it was a long walk from like the restaurant back to the room even. And I'm like, you know what? Like, yeah. I said, let's do it. I said, I got to cut off being embarrassed. I can't be embarrassed about it or stressed out about it. I'm like, it would actually make it easier for them because they won't have to take so many breaks when we walk. I mean, if my foot hurts and we could go around. It was actually like, once I got used to it, I was actually excited about it. And Arrow loved it, so I could put him right on my lap. And I had a little basket.
Yeah, it was great because she was able to like keep up, I guess, and then we also weren't like feeling bad about normally would walk like slow and stop, and then it's just like it was perfect because you know that she's also in pain, so it's like not. I don't know. And then she was perfect for it too because she was able to hold Arrow for us a lot of times. And Arrow loved it. He fell asleep, like with the little breeze, he fell asleep in her arms. And it was super safe, and it was comfortable, right, Mom?
Yeah, and we actually got a second one because they had quite a few of them there. And it's like, well, this will be nice. And it was actually really nice because I really didn't want to shop. I do not really need anything. I bought like a T-shirt and some jerky, but I really don't need anything. So it was nice, and I talked Dave. Victor rented one too, and then I talked Dave into like we actually could. It was nice because we actually could go on the outside of every shop, take our time, look for where everything, was. And he just went with me. And I don't know, they were super nice. We actually got stopped by quite a few people that had asked where you rented them. And they're like, sometimes your legs just need a break. And it was just really. Yeah,
nobody was It was already like, I don't know. They had 10 o'clock when we had rented them, and they had a bunch. And so, it was a really, really, really good idea, and I think that we would definitely do it again. So
yeah, especially, and we were going to actually take them all the way uptown because you can take them everywhere. We just took them through the village shops mostly, and we returned them earlier. We could have had them till 11 o'clock that night, but we returned them earlier when we were done. But they were just a good. It would have been nice to actually go uptown too on them with all the, and you can put them in a turtle mode. They either have which I thought that they kind of were the same speed, but there's the rabbit or the turtle mode.
No,
but
you were cruising on the rabbit mode.
But I felt like, and so you can just go slowly and like check everything out. And then sometimes, if somebody else.
Yeah, so and if you're ever we were staying at the Bavarian Inn. And so if you know someone that would maybe want one, you can rent it definitely ahead of time. It was only $35 for the day, right?
Yeah.
And then you can rent it ahead of time so they have it. Or we saw a lot of people who had theirs and brought theirs because they're probably used to theirs or whatever. But I was just like, oh, yeah, that'd be really smart for someone who maybe didn't want to bring theirs or they didn't need it for all the time, to just order it ahead of time, too. So then you have it.
Yeah.
Arrow, you're okay, sweetie.
Yeah, and I was fine with, at first, like I said, I was like, oh, I can walk if I have to walk. But it was nice to do something like kind of pain free. And then like we did park them, and then I did walk, like through the shops that were all closed that we were going to. So, and then you just got back on it. And
for the long distances, because it is far from the shop to the hotel. It was like really far,
not really far.
I mean, but it's like far for
when you're holding a baby and holding all your bags and stuff. It is
for sure. Yeah. Okay, so then what's next? And then that day we went that night. Oh, Mom and Dad got a pedicure. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, got a pedicure that Nicole and Victor had got that for us 2 years ago on our anniversary, but because of COVID, we had not used it yet. So we went to, where was that, Serendipity Spa? Mm-hmm. And now I honestly can't wait to go there again. We both really, really enjoyed the experience. And they even give you like a beer or wine while you can have water too, but a beer or wine while they do it. And such a professional place. And 8 people actually that could get them done right close in the same vicinity. I told Nicole, I said, we have to make a girls' day and do it again there. That was nice.
Yeah, I've never been there, so I'm excited if we do it. Because it does look, looks like a luxury spa.
Yes, and then Jesse showed up and more arcade, got a pizza, more arcade, and then Victor wanted to fly his drone around Frankenmuth, so he did that a little bit. Then we went to
Lorelani Lounge
again for dinner again.
And it was really good again. And then the boys went and did some karaoke that night. We all went to sleep, and then they came back to the room, and that was about it. And we woke up the next day and we went breakfast and all went our separate ways. So we did eat a lot on this trip, let's just say that. But there was a lot of good food and good company. So it was really, really nice. It felt like a vacation for sure. I was like, Victor, can we book another stay in like a couple months? He's like, well, let's try somewhere else.
And Jesse said too, let's try someplace else too, like not always do the exact. It was just that it was nice. And Arrow loved that we rented a family suite. So there was a second room with a couch and a table and a desk, and the couch pulled into a bed, and that's where Jesse slept. Then the first room had 2 big queen beds, and the cutest part was when Arrow woke up in the morning, he knew like he was somewhere else, so he'd holler. What does he holler? Like he went like for who
he just gets excited.
He like echoes to see who's going to echo back and say something to him because he wants everybody to. They like try to get him to go back to sleep, and he's like
he loves waking up to like his 4 favorite people or 5 or whatever. It's so much fun for him because he's like, oh, who's going to hold me?
Yeah, so he hollers and then we go grab him or whatever, and it's like just really nice. But this is what I was going to ask. There's something I wrote it down that I wanted to talk about, and before I do it. I'm going to lose my train of thought, but it was something that we were discussing.
Okay, so nothing to do with Frankenmuth.
It was, but I can't remember right now.
Fudge, pretzels. I know that was something.
No, the mirror. We went into this. This is what I wanted. This is like a question I want to ask. And so anybody who interacts on the page, I want to see what your feelings. Are there things that like men and women think are expensive that other like don't like?
Wait,
different?
What are you saying?
I'm going to say it right now. We went to a mirror maze. Is that what it was called? A mirror maze.
Yeah.
And first of all, when Dave asked me to go into it, I thought it was going to be those. I said, sure, but I didn't know what it was. I thought it was going to be one of those mirrors where you see if you're skinny or bigger or short. And I'm like, oh gosh, I do not like that kind of stuff, but he wants to do this, so we'll do it. And so we went in, and it was $8 a piece, and it wasn't actually that kind of a mirror thing. It was like a bunch of mirrors, and you have to put your hands out. They give you gloves, and you have to put your hands out and feel your way through it because you think you can walk through them, but you can't. And it was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really fun. I mean, it was a little bit like, I got a little anxiety in there, but like, and not like a bad anxiety, just like, okay, how am I going to get out? Like, it was fun because it was like a game. Yeah. And then you'd think Arrow and Victor was right next to me, but really, because all the mirrors, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're actually further away from me than I thought. But it was really cool. I would definitely recommend it. You
could see everybody from 3-dimensional. So so you didn't know, like, I could see Nicole sometimes 3 spots, and I'm like, oh gosh. And the mirrors are clean, so you can't tell. You literally have to put your hands out. But it was $8, and I thought that was reasonably cheap. But they stamp your hand, and they said you can come back as many times as you would like. Well, Jesse wasn't there at the time, so we thought, well, when he comes back, we'll pay $8, and he can go again. But it was raining anyway, so we didn't go back. So Dave's like, that was kind of expensive for $8. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, well, I wanted to go a second time because we went through it pretty fast, and I wanted to show Jesse that was expensive for $8. I said, Dave, we sat there when we waited for them when they were shopping. I said, we paid $8 each for a beer. I said, and that was just a beer we drank. And to me, what do you think's worth more $8? An experience going through some mirrors or the $8 beer?
Definitely the mirrors.
But not him. So that's why I wanted to know if people like different, if your men think that.
Well, Dad also thinks food's expensive, but doesn't think alcohol is.
Yeah, but that's what I want to see, if that's what other people think, that kind of stuff. And then here's my weird or normal. And I noticed this is with a lot more young people, or I don't know if but is it weird or normal not to look at your bill before you pay it? Because I just noticed, like, sometimes, you're out to dinner and you just hand your card and they don't look at the bill at all. They just literally hand the card and pay the bill. Now I'm the opposite. This weekend when I paid once, she didn't hand it to me, and she asked. And so when I got my card out, she just took it and paid it without and I was like, okay. So then I wanted to look at it afterwards.
I guess I do like to look at it, but I do think that my mentality now is just like, I have to pay it, so just pay it and then look at it. But I guess if something was wrong, I don't really look to see if anything's wrong unless I think the amount's like way different than what I would expect. But yeah, I guess I don't really look at prices as much as I should. Yeah, that's what I just want to know if it's weird or normal. Do you look at your bill when you're paying with a card? Do you look, or cash, either way, but do you look at your bill before, or do you just immediately, because I'm at restaurants a lot and I see, or with groups of people, and I see them literally just hand their card without even getting the bill ever in their hand. They just hand the card as soon as. And I actually like to take a glance at it. And I will say this, that me and Mom and Dad and Victor, I feel like we go back and forth a lot on bills, just like always fighting who's going to pay it. And I think Victor, because I noticed Victor will just hand his card over for sure and just say, here, I got it, right? Or he'll go and like give them the card before the bill comes. So that way, so you and Dad don't try to pay it. And I think that's why he does it more so, because he is like, he's not like frivolous with that type of thing, really, I guess. So I think that it's more so, okay, I got the bill, so I'm going to hurry and pay it. More so than, because if you're sitting there looking at the bill, Mom, and then it makes me feel like, oh, yeah, here's my portion, or here, let me pay it, because then...
I'm not even just talking about you. I mean, I
know, but from my perspective, that's what I'm saying. If you're studying the bill, even as a waitress, if I saw someone studying the bill, I think that they're like, something's
studying, and
wrong.
I just read it.
You do read it, but I will say, as like a server too, I try to like not create anxiety in the server, but maybe they don't even care. But for me, as a server, if they're really studying their bill, then I'm like, oh, maybe I did something wrong. No,
and I don't study it. I just look it over. I like always look it over and just see everything's on there and it's good. And then, I mean, it's literally...
No, you don't just look at the total though. You look at all the itemized items.
I do.
Which is normal, I think.
No, that's what I was just asking. If it's weird or normal, if you look at your bills when you go out to eat or even shopping sometimes, like if I'm at the grocery store and all of a sudden it looks like, I don't like go through my thing right when I pay, but say like all of a sudden it's like, okay, I only got like 4 things and it's $60. Something's wrong. Like I'll grab and look at it real quick and then I'll point it out to them. I'm like, I think you charged me for 10 of these. Like, I do. And I do catch things a lot, like that kind of stuff.
You do. And then I will say when I went and bought that like organic olive oil, and because I'm trying to start the Mediterranean diet, because I took like this age thing. And it says like that, my liver needs the Mediterranean diet, and I don't drink alcohol, which is super weird. So anyways, I went to this like store in Frankenmuth to buy like all natural pesto and all natural honey and all natural olive oil and vinegar. And so, it was like $82, and I mean, I just like paid it. But then when I got home yesterday, I was like, Vic, I want to look at like how much each item was. So I looked at the receipt, and then I was like, oh wow, that was kind of expensive. There was no prices on the things, so I guess like that was. I do not like really when there's not prices on the things either, because then you're just like getting rung up. But then I don't want to say how much is this item or how much is this item, like for 5 times, what do you do with that stuff? So then I just paid it, and then I did look. I was like, oh crap, this pesto is $10. Like we're gonna make sure we really utilize this pesto and stuff like that. But
and mine might be just because of how Dave is. Dave's always like he'll double and triple think things certain things. That's what I'm saying. So it's different things. Some things he won't even question. And he will buy, but then other things he like will look and I like to shop around because I love to do stuff. So I like to make my money go as far, especially nowadays, everything is so expensive. Like going and doing anything with your family.
Tips are overwhelming. Let's just say that. I'm kind of sick of like, I feel like I do like over tip on a lot of things that I don't even think like a tip is necessary on. For example, I used to work at Subway when I was 16 years old all the way till I was like, I don't know, Mom, like 18, 19. And so we were not allowed to have a tip jar. I made $7.40 an hour, and I know this is like, oh yeah, back in the day, whatever, when my dad would make like 50 cents an hour. So I'm not like trying to say anything about way back in the day, but I do know they would not let us have a tip jar out. And I did a good job making people subs. I made them as if they were my subs, right? Now sometimes like I just get a sub like slopped together, and then they look at me like, okay, can I get a tip? And it's like stressful to me because, or like things that I'm going through a drive-through, I'm buying a gift card. I bought it, this happened around Christmas. I bought a gift card for $60 at a drive-through restaurant, and they look at me and they go, do you want a tip? And I said, that's the first time I said no. I was like, not on a gift card, because that's like weird. Am I going to tip 20% on a 60% gift card or $60 gift card? And then when Vic goes to use the gift card, then they're going to want tip on top of that. So it's not like a service where sometimes if I buy my mom a pedicure, I'll be like, okay, I want to include tip on that. So then she doesn't have to pay the tip. That's always a nice gift, but not on like a fast food gift card, right? I think that's weird.
Yeah. So
tips are out of control. That's all I'm going to say. Like it stresses me out.
And it's because food prices are up so high,
but it's
too.
not just food things. It's like hair services. It's all services. They just like turn this. Do you know the other day I went on an online boutique because I'm also an online boutique, and I bought something from this boutique. It was $80. It was one item for $80, and it looked nice, so I kind of wanted to see the quality of it, right? And it asked me to tip their packaging team. I did not. I don't know if that's bad, but me and Mom package everything by ourselves. I don't ask for tips. But
that would be weird if we did.
But it asked for... I took a screenshot because I was in disbelief, and this is a big boutique, but I mean, I understand it's a lot of work because it is. Me and Mom, like, we spend hours trying to ship stuff, and it's like sometimes we're like, what are we doing? But I just couldn't believe online it asked me, after I paid $80 for this item, that to tip. Like, I guess it just feels a little out of control.
And what's the weirdest thing? What is like the weirdest thing? Yeah, write down that you have tipped for or been asked to tip for. And what do you think of all, the stuff? I mean, yeah, I ran a gas station, like 4 gas stations for a lot of years. And I literally would help them make their coffees, get back, wait on them. Sometimes I wait on people 30 times in half an hour because they're scratching lotto tickets, giving it back and forth, and not getting anything else done. And I still would never even think about, asking for a tip.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know.
It's different. And I can tell my mom's like, oh, I don't want to like hurt anybody's feelings, whatever. It's fine. Like I am a good tipper. Don't get me wrong. I'm a very good tipper. But I draw the line on things that I want to tip. Like that, do I think that you taking my order? No, I don't think that that's like a huge
But
tipping
sometimes,
thing.
yeah, and sometimes she frustrates me. Well, like, because one time we
panic.
both, I'm not
I
going
always
to
tip 25% and I panic, and it's horrible.
Yeah, and one thing, I'm not going to say what it is, but we both had bought something at a business, and I paid first, and mine was like $90, and then because they used the Square app, it asked if I wanted to tip on it. And I'm like, I just bought all their products. No, I don't want to put a tip. It was literally just a store. And so then I didn't. And then afterwards I walked away, and Nicole she had only spent like $25 or whatever. And I said, did you do the tip? And she said, yeah. I said, no, you made me look bad. I was like, she's like, well, I didn't know what to do. I said, Nicole.
They're staring at you. And also the thing is like, okay, so me and Mom also did some craft shows. We use the Square app. You do not have to have it say tip, because ours doesn't. And also, if it did, I would hurry and hit no tip for them and then just ask them to sign, because I don't want to put them through that stress. Why would they want to tip? If they're buying a t-shirt from me, why the hell would they want to tip? Right? I don't understand it. So that is frustrating to me, and I feel like it makes me feel some type of way as a consumer and as a customer, because I don't think you should put me in that position. Yeah, you might make like $5 off me doing that, but it leaves like a weird taste in my mouth, and I might not be back as much as I normally would, right? So that's just kind of where I am with that. And I've been on both sides. I've been, working at Subway, not allowed to have tips, and now the tip jar is there, and it's like stressful. And then I have a small boutique and a business, and we work really hard behind the scenes, and I never put someone in that thing, and never put somebody in that predicament. And so Victor is really good with just kind of cutting, just being like, if it's not something that he thinks, he's just like, he was actually talking about this yesterday. He's like, I can't wait for the day that you can say no and not feel bad, because I will always say yes, and then after I'm like sweating. I'm like, oh my God, Vic, like I hit the 25% button. He's like, why would you do that? I'm like, I don't know. Like, they were just staring at me, and I feel really bad. And then he's like, Nicole, they literally you ordered a smoothie. Like, you got to stop this. And I'm like, I know. I just like don't know what to do. And it doesn't define if you're a good person or a bad person either. And I feel like sometimes I'm bad with that. Like, does this make me a bad person if I don't tip on ordering a smoothie at Tropical Cafe? Or, which I did like once in Florida, and then of course it's stressful. Anyways, I'm gonna ramble.
Well,
on,
it's almost like we're trying to do budgets, and Nicole's trying to do budgets, and you want to do that so that you can make your money go as far as you can, but you almost have to budget like tipping into your thing. And Nicole is a good tipper. Nicole's tipping stresses Dave out because he thinks she over tips. And
my brother, it stresses him out big time.
But we had this is she wouldn't have said this, but I'm going to say it. We went to breakfast the same place both times this weekend in Frankenmuth, and on Saturday when we went, the gentleman that we had, he was super nice, but they're so short-staffed there. Like in all the things that they had tables under reserve in some of the restaurants there because they're trying to, their staff is working 6-7 days a week, all from opening to closing, and they only had a couple people, and it was full in there because their breakfast is really good there. And
they're in. I'm just gonna say they were in in the uniforms, like the German uniforms, which I felt like was extra hot.
And it was very packed in there, and he was like. The gentleman that was waiting on us, Nicole's like, God, he reminds me of me sometimes when I get like stressed. I think he's stressed because it's so busy. He's got to run from table to table. I can see him like sweating a little bit. She's like, she said he's stressed out. And I'm like, she goes, I'm going to leave him a really good tip. And we didn't say anything or whatever. And so anyway, he brought the bill and it was only, what was it for us?
Like $46.
$46. Yeah, $46 because she had all four of us on there. And she wrote him a $100 tip. And I was like, she had it all written out or whatever. And then he came over and it was just kind of cute because we figured out why he was stressed and everything. He said, I didn't want to talk. Dave and Victor had already walked out because they already knew she's going to leave a big tip. And Dave's like, Nicole, anyways. So he had already walked out or whatever. And so we were in there and he came up to us and he's like, oh my gosh, I didn't want to bug you while you were eating. I was so nervous waiting on you. You're like my favorite big brother person. And what else was he saying? He was just...
it was so nice, but
it was sweet.
What was better about it though was that I already really liked him. I already really, really liked him before I even knew that. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. But I could just sense he was a good person. And I felt like, okay, this was like paying it forward, right? Like $100 tip, like that's like, that would make my day if someone did that for me, right? Because someone left me a $50 tip once and I was like, well, hell yeah, And so I guess, yeah, that I don't feel like bad about. That was my choice. I liked doing that. That actually made me feel good too because I felt like he was working so hard. So it wasn't just like, And
it was just sweet because when he came up later on and told her, so I didn't even notice because I was just busy, the baby's in there and stuff. I didn't even notice that he seemed like pick up on the stressness or like that, he looked hot or whatever Nicole was noticing, during the thing, she had just said, I'm going to leave him a really good tip. He looks like, he's, busy. I mean, I knew he was running around and very friendly, but that was it. And it was just kind of cute though when afterwards, because if he was just like flabbergasted. He didn't even ask for a picture either.
Oh yeah, no, he didn't.
And he was just went on and he was just really nice. And then
what's really funny about this is that I gave him my card. So my chip has not been working on my card, and I did not know a chip couldn't work on a card, but it's the only credit card I have right now because I just don't like a lot of credit cards. The swipe works and typing in the numbers work, so I've always been able to figure it out. So then I told him, I was like, okay, after I saw him stressed because it wasn't working with the chip, I was like, can you swipe it or put the numbers? And I'm sorry I forgot to tell you because it's been going on for a week and I need to call the company and tell them. And he's like, yeah. So sometimes with the chip reader, it won't let you swipe it. And it wasn't getting declined or anything. It was just taking 5 minutes to read. That's what it does. It'll just sit there and read. And everyone thinks it's their system because it's just thinking. Well, they won't even let you swipe a card unless it gets declined 3 times. So it wasn't getting declined at all. So he couldn't even have the option to swipe it. So then I saw Victor come in and be like, he was walking arrow and he saw it happening and he's like, here's my credit card. So then I was like, okay, Vic. So then I wrote the tip on Vic's card. But then I was like, Vic, I'll Venmo you because I do that. So I Venmo'd him and he looked at my Venmo. He goes, oh my God, did you leave him $100? Because I Venmo'd him the $150. And I was like, so I wasn't even going to tell Victor anything. And then I had to show him that I did because I knew I'd get a lecture. But he's like, no, that was nice. But anyways, that wasn't something that I wanted to share anyways, but it's good to pay it forward. And also paying for somebody in front of you and all that type of thing is a really good thing too, unless the person in front of you orders $50 and you were just trying to get a coffee. That's kind of funny, but anyway.
Yeah, you see somebody by themselves, so you think it's a good time, and it's oh, this is the time I'm taking lunch to Dad 8 people.
Dad would have a heart attack. if Dad like had to be like, okay, I'm gonna just want a coffee. I'll pay for the person behind me, and it's like $100. Dad would be like, "Oh my god!"
Well,
But
Dad's
my dad
surprised-
works really hard for his money.
And
Most of us do, yeah.
And he's just he's just likes to do. He's gotten a lot better though, because he does a lot of stuff now that he
We should wrap up though, because I know we can save it for the next episode. He's getting really cranky.
Alrighty.
Oh, you okay, honey? You're okay. He's okay. He's just tired.
We actually had a long list of stuff to talk about, so next time we'll have a really good list for you and a babysitter.
All right. Thank you, guys. And join our Facebook group, Coco Kelly ND Podcast, to join in our weekly discussions. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you want to be the most interesting person at the cocktail party, well, hop on over and listen to the Brain Candy Podcast.
Our award-winning content will have you laughing while you're learning.
We read all the best articles, books, and studies and keep up with new TV shows, documentaries, and pop culture. And then we cram it all into 2 shows a week.
Conspiracy theories, cannibal rabbits, unsolved mysteries, the history of the Walkman. There's something for everyone.
The Brain Candy Podcast. Find our link in the show notes.
Or simply search for the Brain Candy Podcast on your podcast app.